Hey everybody, this is Nick Baldwin, and today I'm being joined by UFC middleweight Phil Hawes, who's coming off a big win over Kyle Daukaus this past weekend at UFC Fight Night. Phil, how are you?
Hey, brother, I'm always good. How you feeling?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on the win. It was a great performance, and we'll talk all about it. How are you feeling 4 days after your latest victory?
Healthy. Fortunate. I'm feeling great all the way around.
Okay, that is good to hear. A lot of people said after this fight that they felt you looked the best you've ever looked in MMA, in the octagon, outside the UFC. They felt this was your best performance. Did it feel that way to you? Looking back as well, do you think this was maybe your most complete performance to date?
I mean, if that's what people are saying, it's all perspective. I guess that's what they agree with. But me personally, there's so much more I have to show out there that I'm not completely happy with the performance. So yeah, I guess some people say it's the best performance yet, but like I mean, I got so much more to prove out there, so much more to show.
What do you have more to show? Like what could have made this performance better in your eyes?
Man, there's tons of things that I haven't been able to showcase yet, like my kicks and my combinations, and But I mean, we'll see. I got another fight lined up, and I plan to showcase my skills during that. So we're just gonna keep progressing every time.
I don't know if you're a guy that pays attention to the betting odds or anything like that, but you're actually a small underdog in this fight. Does that surprise you to hear?
Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention, but after the fact that I noticed I was the underdog, yeah, yeah, a little. It is what it is.
For sure. Um, Something that some people looked at your last win in February over Imavov and thought you might have had a bit of cardio issues in that fight. The third round maybe wasn't the best round for you, but in this fight it was kind of the opposite. You looked the third round was your best round. It was a 10-8 on all the judges' scorecards. It was dominant. Is that something that you've addressed? Like, do you think you've worked on your cardio in the past few months, or is that something that people just kind of blew out of proportion, in your opinion?
I think it's a combination of both, and just like with everything with the losses, they're always lessons, you know. And I think one performance that stems to mind is my loss way back when, and I think a lot of people keep focusing on that. But yeah, with my new strength and conditioning coach Ahmed, we're working hard and diligently trying to figure out and fill those holes in our cardio. But my last fight, a lot of people were saying there's cardio issues, but I didn't feel anything against Imov, Nasruddin. But he was a counter striker, so I was kind of hesitant to throw my shots, and maybe that's what gave the inclination, like oh he's getting tired. But I was just not trying to fall into his trap. So maybe that's what it is. But I didn't feel tired in the Nasruddin fight. But yeah.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, you looked fresh in the Daukaus fight. Did it feel that way? I would imagine so.
Yeah, I felt great Nasruddin fight. It's just all eyes. I mean, people just look at the way they want to look at it. I never fight out and come ready.
When you mentioned earlier that you're not 100% happy with the win, there's still some things you can work on and you can look better. What do you have to do to sort of get to that point where you would actually be 100% satisfied with your performance? Like, what does that look like, and what do you have to do to get there?
Man, I just gotta keep doing what I'm doing. You know, just staying on track and progressing every day looking to get better, and just believing in my team around me. And you know, I put a lot of great people around me and great teammates, and I just gotta keep believing in them and believing in myself.
Now, in this fight with Kyle Daukaus, you guys were exchanging big shots on the feet. The third round, you had a lot of good control. You were landing good ground and pound. Are you surprised whatsoever that the finish never came to fruition?
Uh, yeah, I kind of I kind of thought I seen some one prior fight. I really don't watch my opponent's fights, but I seen that he does get rocked. So I was like, oh well, I'm definitely gonna rock this dude and sit him down. But it never came. But if it doesn't come, it's okay. You know, we'll grind it out like we did before. So
Are you happy that or maybe not happy, but are you somewhat happy or okay with the fact that your last two fights were decisions? Because, your UFC debut, very quick knockout. A lot of people expect that from you going forward. But now you were able to spend some real time in the octagon and sort of hone your skills. Like, is that a good thing? Or are you okay that your last few fights have gone the distance?
I see what you're saying. Me as a performer, no, I'm not happy with it. But me as trying to be a complete martial artist, yeah, I'm happy with it. It's always great to get experience in there and ring time, you know. But me as a performer, going to the judges twice in a row right now, it leaves an unsettling feeling in your gut. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm a finisher and I pride myself on finishing fights, and going to the judges is a little eerie.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's sort of something that people talk about all the time where you learn more, in a 15-minute fight. But you obviously, as a fighter, you have a unique perspective. You know exactly what it's like. So tell me, I mean, as someone who you won your UFC debut in like 18 or 20 seconds, next two fights were decisions. How much more do you really learn in a 15-minute fight compared to a quick finish?
There's just like mental lapses in the cage and things like that, and dealing with that adversity and dealing with fatigue and things like that you don't get from 18-second knockouts, you know. So maybe not necessarily it's more technical things you learn, but mentally there's things you learn. So
Sure.
yeah, just being able to be on a huge stage like the UFC, doing what I love is a blessing. So knockout, no knockout decision. I'm always blessed and happy for whatever comes.
As you mentioned earlier, you already have your next fight lined up, which is obviously pretty rare. Just 4 days after your win, you have this fight against Deron Winn on July 17th. Now, when did you actually find out about it? Because I believe it was before this fight with Daukaus actually happened.
Yeah. So I had this fight booked maybe I guess maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it just shows the belief that the UFC puts in me. You know that they double book me on fights because they know I can perform and I'm going to be healthy, and I always say yes. I mean, I don't see anyone else in the roster being double booked. I mean, a lot of people say like, "Oh, I fight this guy," but no one's signing the contracts and putting foot forward like I am. So
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen really at all. I can think of one other scenario recently where a guy was double booked, but I mean, very, very few. Why did you agree to that? Because again, it's something that doesn't happen very often.
yeah, because there guys like me don't happen very often. You know, I believe in myself, I believe in my skill, I believe in my team, and I believe I'm going to be champion. So I love to perform and get closer to the title.
As far as the double booking, obviously a lot of things can happen in a fight that a promoter or a fighter isn't prepared for. Was there some sort of agreement where obviously the fight would only happen if you came out of the Daukaus fight relatively uninjured and ready to go? Like how did that work? Agreeing to two fights before the first one even happened.
Yeah, you got it. Just like you said, like you nailed it on the head. Of course, you got to take care of business of the first fight before the second fight. So, yeah, it's like if you came out healthy, if you came out unscathed, then yeah, proceed and get that last fight in.
Is it kind of nice just because it's not as big of an issue in the UFC, but sometimes there are still fighters even in the UFC that are struggling to get fights, whether some people just don't want to fight them, or the matchmaker is busy and dealing with other fighters, like whatever the issue is it nice not only just knowing when your next fight is, but when your next fight after the next fight is?
Yeah, it's not. Right now, I'm winning. Business is good. Business is this is good right now. Yeah, it's a good feeling for sure.
Is this something that you would like to keep going, like just double book me all the way to the title?
Let's get it. Let's get it. Why wait? After Duran, let's get Izzy in there. You know, like why play games? You know.
Yeah. July isn't too far away. We're like a month and a half or so out from the fight. Not even about 2 months, I guess, out from the fight. Training camp starts pretty soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, we're already back in the gym, just keeping that momentum going, just keep building on that and keep progressing and keep getting better. That's all it is. I mean, I really don't do training camps. I always preach on that. Like, I don't do training camps, I just train year round. That's why you don't see me balloon up and do miss weight and things like that. So yeah, I'm just always in training camp.
Do you think you'll want a little bit of time off after these back-to-back fights, or are you trying to pull a Kevin Holland in 2021?
I'm trying to pull a Phil Hawes in 2021. Kevin Holland did some crazy things. I think that set the tone. And yeah, if I could fight as frequent as he did when he first got into the league, I would definitely do that. Let's just keep it going. I can't do this sport forever, and I want to just capitalize on the opportunity I have in front of me.
Yeah. You mentioned after the win on Saturday, you mentioned the middleweight champion, Israel Adesanya. You said something about you're taking baby steps toward him. So obviously you recognize that, you're not in the top 15 quite yet. You're not in contention, but is it kind of important to keep the champion in the back of your mind? Like, is that by design, just because even though you're not quite there, that is still the ultimate goal?
Yeah, 100%. It's not necessarily Izzy I'm focusing on. I'm focused on the belt, and Izzy has the belt right. So there's no ill will towards Izzy, because we were friends at one time, and he helped me. He tried to help me get some kickboxing fights, and we were following on Instagram. But once I started winning these fights in the UFC, he unfollowed me, and then it was kind of shaky, kind of weird. So no ill will towards him. It is what it is. I know he's watching, but yeah, it's super important for me to keep taking these bouts, and that's why I take these short notice bouts, because I feel like these bouts are getting me ready for Izzy. Like, we had a counter striker, Imamov, and then we had Kyle Daukaus, who was a southpaw, so I'm just building myself up there, getting ready for that fight.
Do you think Izzy will still be the guy when you are in title contention, however long that takes, a year, maybe more than that? Like, do you expect Izzy to be the guy, in your first UFC title fight, assuming that happens?
100%. I expect Izzy to be that guy. I think I'm the only guy that can take him out. I think Izzy has a set of skills that I'm the only one that can really finish it. Like, you got to have wrestling. You got to be explosive. You got to have wrestling, and you got to be able to knock him out. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be able just to take him down. And you got to have some fast twitch muscles, and you got to be smart. You got to have some fight IQ. And I have all the above, and I think I have the tools to get the job done. And I know I have the tools to get the job done, and I'm going to get it done.
3-0 in the UFC now after Saturday's win. Are you hoping for like a quick rise in the division? Do you want to take things slow? Like, what are you sort of hoping for in terms of how quickly you continue to move on up the ladder?
I'm looking for a meteoric rise to the top. You know what I mean? There's no time to play games. I'm here to become champion, and I know I will, so why wait? So let's just keep it going.
And realistically, how soon could we see you in that mix, in that title conversation, potentially in line to fight for the belt?
Man, it's a crazy game we play, and opportunities always arise. We've seen Joe Soto, I think, was his first fight in the UFC. He ended up fighting for the title. You know what I mean? There's Ali Quinta for Khabib, and I don't think he was in the top 10 or whatever. So you never know what the UFC and VSC and the fans want to see it. And I think he's cleaned out most of those guys. So who else is going to cause a problem? You know what I mean? I feel like right now the middleweight division is kind of stagnant. He's beat most of those guys, and they're not really bringing any other tools. So.
For sure. Well, Phil, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And congratulations again on the big win last week.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.